Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Women in Leadership Talk podcast. We are so excited to be here today. We have a rock star young lady who is joining us, Miss Susie. Make sure I say your last name right. Dantas. Is that right?
That's
okay,
absolutely
perfect.
right. And I am ecstatic to be here with you, Vicki. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Well, we're thrilled to have you, and we're thrilled to have our audience here because we know you have a choice as to what podcast you listen to. And we work really hard to bring in great guests so that you can learn from them. You can, think differently, have different perspective. And so thank you so much for being here today, everyone. So let me give you a little background on Susie so you know why we've asked her to join us on the show today. So she became the first franchise co-owner of Laser Clinics Canada, which is part of Laser Clinics Group. They're the largest cosmetic clinic company in the world. And prior to joining the Laser Clinic team and co-owning her own business at Square One Shopping Center in Ontario, Susie and her husband Marcus lived and worked busy corporate jobs in Montreal and Paris before they settled down here in Toronto about 10 years ago. She had a successful marketing career as part of the management team at L'Oreal International in Paris, L'Oreal Canada in Montreal, and most recently PepsiCo. She wanted to start a new chapter in her professional career with more autonomy and flexibility, and so she quickly became intrigued by the idea of combining her passion, I'm going to stress that, combining her passion for beauty with her years of experience in the corporate world. She's proud to be born and raised in Toronto to a Portuguese parents and has a large extended family because it really does take a village, which I so agree with you. So 2 beautiful children, along with a chocolate lab named Samson. And in her spare time, she loves to travel 30 plus countries and growing, working out, drinking lots of coffee. Well, Susie, I'm thinking you would have to drink a lot of coffee just to keep up with all the things you're doing. Am I right?
That's right. Coffee in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening. People say I can't drink coffee before I go to sleep. I say, oh, that's like my bedtime cup, to relax.
Good for you. Good for you. That's awesome. Yeah, I'm one of those people. 3 o'clock, if I have a coffee, I'm wired all night. I can't do it.
Lucky you. I wish. No, I think I've drank too much. It doesn't have an effect. But Vicki, yes, thank you for that beautiful intro. You're right. I do lead a very busy life, but it's a lot of fun. And I've managed to pick wisely so that I'm happy in my day-to-days. So I know that's what we're going to talk about today.
Awesome. Well, we're thrilled to have you here, and we are ready to learn more about you. I love, Portuguese family, beautiful, so much love and energy. Like every person I know that's Portuguese has tons of energy. So,
Yeah.
So you're going to infect us all today with your contagious energy.
We do have a lot of energy, and you know what? I think it stems from all the food we eat. We're all about eating and eating. Have more. Try this.
That is so true. Actually, now that you say it, that is so true because everybody I know that's Portuguese, it's the same thing. And fantastic food, by the way.
Yes.
Really awesome. Well, let's jump in and maybe if you can share with us a little bit. I mean, like I've shared, you worked for L'Oreal for many years, but who is Susie Dantas? And, give us some insight as to what really drives you and that passion.
Yeah, so I think Susie Dantas really is someone who loves people. So from a very young age, I've always been very comfortable in a room, very comfortable on stage. I did figure skating. I was the captain of the soccer team. Always very peppy and motivational. And people give me energy. So I've always absolutely loved to be around people and working with people and also understanding people. So why people do what they do. And so that brought me to my studies in international business. I specialized in marketing at the Schulich School of Business here at York University. And I was always fascinated with, consumer behavior and why people do what they do. And obviously because I was very comfortable, presenting and drafting plans and business plans and so forth, it was always very comfortable for me. So naturally, when I graduated, I did an exchange in Paris, and that's when I got to know L'Oreal. So that was my first kind of love. I've always also as a young girl, been very into beauty, fashion. And so working for L'Oreal was a dream. And I said, I absolutely need to work at L'Oreal. It's one of the biggest beauty houses in the world, but it's also great in marketing. And so, convincing my mom to let me move to Montreal right after school was very difficult because Portuguese people are also very close and she didn't want me to go. But I said, Mom, I'm only going to go for a year or two. This is the best experience I could ever wish for. I'm going to learn everything in the corporate world and then I'll come back. And so 10 years later, I was in Montreal for about 7, and then I got a fantastic opportunity to go work in Paris in the international hub. So I was developing products for L'Oreal's pipeline. So 5 to 10 years in the future, doing a lot of consumer groups, meeting with a lot of people. We did a lot of studies in China and in Russia. So it was very, very, very enriching. And absolutely loved it. But then fell in love with my second love. So my husband, we met in Montreal and decided to get married when we were in Paris. He was also in Paris at the same time. And so I said, you know what? I think we have to go back to Toronto now. I think if I had kids and got married not close to my family, they would not be happy. So he was very, very open to it. He is originally from Martinique, had lived in Montreal, Paris, and was eager to, see what Toronto life was like. So we moved here. And unfortunately, L'Oreal didn't have an office here. So I was looking for something else at that time. And I said, I've been in beauty for 10 years. I definitely want to stay in marketing, but I want to open myself up to new things. But I didn't want to let go of innovation. I had been doing innovation. And so Pepsi was a great marriage, again, of those two things I was looking for at the time. So they did some local marketing. They pulled some international marketing, but they did innovation. So I don't know if all of our viewers know, but ketchup chips are only available in Canada. They were developed, created in Canada. So a lot of fun stuff that I was able to do with Pepsi, and was there for almost 7 years. In the meantime, got married, had 2 beautiful babies, and then COVID hit. And COVID was a rude awakening for me. So fueled by people, energy, being in the same room. We were home for 2 years, and I was on Zoom call to Zoom call to Zoom call from morning to evening with 2 kids because they were in and out of daycare. They were both under 5. And I said, Susie, this is not for you. Like you need to find that passion and energy back. You need to be with people. And so that's when I started first considering my own business. I said, I'd love to own my own business, get some more flexibility and autonomy in my day. But I still wanted to feel very accomplished. I still wanted to do something that I loved. So being a business school top A student, I did well done. So I said, what is Susie good at? Where do I have a good network and what can I see myself doing? And I came back to beauty. I loved beauty. I missed beauty. I still get September Vogue delivered to my house. My husband's like, what? Paper copies? Are you crazy?
I'm with you, Susie. I love paper copies.
So I said, I really want to be in this space. But I also was very aware of my reality. I have 2 young kids. I didn't want to start something from scratch. I thought, hey, that's setting myself up for, a lot of extra work and maybe something that is not so immediate. So I started looking at, hey, what can I buy? Is there something out there that I could buy into? And so I said, you know what? Let's go to the franchise show. So I took my husband, reluctantly, to the franchise show. And honestly, it was just, I feel like some things just come together for me. And I saw a beautiful booth with wonderful skincare, beautiful neutral colors. And I spoke to Jenna Kyra, who I know you know very well. And
yes, I love Jenna.
she's so wonderful, an inspiring woman for sure. And she walked me through Laser Clinic's kind of mission. And I felt a connection right away. The mission that we have is to democratize beauty. So I think for me, that spoke to me on a lot of levels. Coming from an immigrant family, we didn't have everything we wanted growing up. And so thinking through my passion for beauty and how I would save up all of my dollars to go get a facial or do something, fun and exciting, I thought, this mission is really, really exciting. Historically, anyone who's wanted to do anything in advanced skincare has had to go to a dermatologist or pay a lot of money for certain treatments. And for us at Laser Clinics, it's all about, hey, everyone deserves to feel beautiful and confident, and our accessible prices make it so that we are available to all Canadians. We're in a mall, so it's very convenient. We offer the best services, the best trained medical estheticians with a wealth of knowledge, that we've brought over from Australia, UK, and our MACs, or Medical Advisory Council, and we're making that available to all of Canadian women. So, for me, it was a huge kind of match, and I felt an immediate connection. And then it was just about understanding the business model, doing my business plan, feeling more comfortable, and finally getting the courage to jump off the corporate ship.
Sure, that's a big step.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's huge. So I want to go back to a couple of things you've just shared, because so many things, right? Like, first of all, let's talk about ketchup chips. I have a story about ketchup chips because I grew up in the U.S.
Yes.
So American born and raised, immigrated to Canada in 95. So been here for a while now. But when I was a kid, I used to dip my chips in ketchup. And so when I saw the ketchup chips, I was like, I should have patented that years ago.
You should have.
And the U.S. doesn't even have it, to your point. Like, it's only available in Canada. But that was my thing. Grilled cheese sandwich and potato chips dipped in ketchup. So, love that. Sorry, I had to digress there because it took me down memory lane.
No, that's great. So you were born to be a Canadian because you
Like, seriously, right? I've been here a long time now. Almost as long here as I have been in the U.S.
Oh, wow.
But you said so many things there. So I just want to go back to the story of that moment, right? Like, COVID was a life changer for so many people, sometimes positive, sometimes not positive, but really looks like, you took the ball and said, what do I love? What do I really need and desire? And so that's a big step. And I want to key in on that for a moment, because I know there's a lot of people sitting in our audience going, oh, I wish I had the courage to make that move. So what was the real pivotal point that helped you take that leap?
I think for me, it was about just being realistic with myself. So I think, like you said, COVID was a hard time for a lot of people, and I'm very open to the fact that it was very hard for me. And at first, I was thinking through, I was like, okay, why am I feeling, this way? Why am I not so excited? Why am I not so energized? I was feeling tired. We were all at home, but I was like, it's not just being at home. It's more than that. It's I'm missing that interaction daily with people that drives me. And so, I just, it took a while, and it didn't come to me right away, but over the first few months, I really felt it. And, it extended. Okay, the lockdown's a little longer. And I said, oh, I can tough through. And I think it was at the end of COVID, when we were going back to the office, that I said, you know what? This is still not, I'm in the office, I'm seeing people, but we're in small groups, only 1 or 2 days. And I was like, you know what? I think I'm ready to do something new. I think I grew through COVID, and I learned to ask myself questions. Sometimes I feel like as women, we get really busy. You have a corporate life, which is demanding, and now you have 2 little ones who depend on you for a lot. You have a husband, so you also want to be a good wife. I just felt like I was wearing a lot of hats, and I was never asking myself, hey, Susie, what makes you happy? I know you're doing what you need, to be a good, employee, and you're doing what you can to be a good wife and a good mother, but what fills your cup? Like, when does it come back to me? And I think I was ready at the end of COVID. My little one was 4, my eldest was 6. They were a little bit more independent, and I could ask myself those questions. Hey, what makes you happy? And so, I started doing exercises. You guys are gonna laugh, but I honestly encourage you. Like, there's so much stuff online, like the 3 circles of what you're good at. What does your network look like? What really makes you happy? Like, what are your passions? And a lot of that is not easy. Like, I think I did 6 iterations, because I was like, really, does that make me happy? Is that really what I want? But you'll see that once you do these things a few times, a few themes start coming out, like things that you really like, things that start. And so that's what I did. I leaned into what made me happy and what was I good at. Perfect. And how could I bring that to other people to have a successful, meaningful career? And I think that's what really gave me the energy. And this, of course, having a supportive husband helped. He was like, listen, you're not happy, let's get you there. If this is what you need, like, we could do it together. And, you know, we're all about planning. We plan yearly, we plan quarterly. And so it wasn't automatic, but we said, hey, this is how much money we need to save. And this is when it makes sense for us. And, you know, we made a plan. And I think that's, if I could give, you know, one piece of advice to everyone listening, is if you feel like you need a change, start planning. Just the plan of knowing it's coming will help you. And going through the paces, you'll know, okay, I know where I'm headed, and it's not going to happen right away, but, you know, I'm doing something that's going to change my life in a good way.
Yeah, no, that's terrific. And I also love what you shared there about, you know, really taking the time to slow down and look at what are the things that get you excited, you know, and there may be multiple iterations. I did something similar myself when I left the corporate world, where I was like, okay, why did I spend 30 years in corporate North America and a little bit in Europe? But why did I do that? What got me up every day to go? And to your point, it always came back to people, helping people reach their own successes. And so I love what you shared there, because I think sometimes what happens is human nature, we get comfortable and we get on that autopilot, right? And so we just get up and we keep doing the same thing. And so it took courage for you to even start to look at what drives me, what gets me excited, right? And so you made this move. So you purchased the laser clinic franchise, which is phenomenal. And that brings together a lot of the passion that you have. So what would you say have been some of those biggest lessons learned? Because moving from corporate to a franchisee that's a big step. What helped you do that?
So I think for me, it was, again, planning and doing my business plan. So Laser Clinics has a great onboarding system. You have to do a business plan. You have to plan for what are you going to do from a team perspective, and how are you going to grow your team, and, you know, what are going to be your communication touch points. So I had to think through all these things beforehand. And so for me, it was just being very cognizant of the fact that I'm coming from a very different background, and my team of 13 ladies, women, they don't have that same background. Their goals are different than mine. Their motivations are different. So how do I get to know my employees, my team? How do I motivate them? How do I make sure they're clear on why I'm coming into this and what do I want to get out of it, but also what I'm going to give into it and how I'm going to help grow and make sure they're learning and make sure they're doing a great job? I think all of these things were really great because I had to set them out in my business plan. So that was helpful. Nevertheless, reality is never the same as paper. So when I came in, I think the biggest mistake I made, which I quickly rectified, but nonetheless, I tried to change everything. So, you know, corporate, like, I came in, I analyzed the business. It had been open for a year, and I'm like, okay, I think this is where we need to go. This is what we need to do differently. And I started changing. And I think before you change, you have to listen. And so I quickly realized that, hey, Susie, for the first 3 months, just come in and listen, observe. Of course, there's things that I want to change. There's plans, things I think we could do better. But have open dialogue and try things. And I think if there's anything that my team would say about me, it's, you know, Susie tries things, but she's open to listen. And sometimes we try and we go back because we say, hey, you know what? We tried. This is not right. I think we were doing it better before. But sometimes we try and we're pleasantly surprised. Hey, this is right. This is getting us closer to where we want to go, and we should double down here. So I think the biggest lesson is take it slow. Again, you said it very well. Take the time to just observe and take it slow. Corporate is fast-paced, and we learn to be in that pace all the time. I used to walk so fast, Vicky, like literally walking through the mall. I would look like a crazy person, like passing everyone in the hallways, going to get my Starbucks and coming. And now I make an effort to just walk slow. Just take your time.
Well, it's a lot of learnings that can happen when you do pause. And I love what you talked about with just stop and listen, because sometimes we're so fast, right? Our brains are, I do that myself. Like my brain is already, 6 months, a year, 2 months, or 2 years out. And then it's like, okay, slow down, take a step back. How are we going to navigate this?
Yeah.
So what I heard there, Susie, also is there is a lot of transferable skills. So your experience with L'Oreal, with PepsiCo, leading teams, even learning the importance of the slowdown, but the importance of the agility, the flexibility, and how to adapt. So those are all transferable skills. And I bring that up because what I hear often from individuals, they'll get into a situation, let's say in a corporate environment, and they go, well, I cannot leave. I can't afford to, whether it's, emotional, physical, financial, for whatever reason, but they get in that place where they feel stuck. And so taking inventory, which is what it sounds like you've done, becomes really important as to how you can be successful.
100%. And I think you said it, agility is the biggest and best thing you learn in corporate. You wear many hats, and owning a small business is exactly that. I wear a million hats, and corporate really prepared me for that, because there were days where you were solely focused on your team, whether it was end of year and doing end of year's reviews, or whether it was in a month where things weren't going well. So how do you recognize your team? How do you make them feel motivated? All of these things are transferable. You have to do the same thing when you have a small business. You have to make sure your staff is motivated. At the beginning of the year, you think about January, you're setting targets and KPIs or key performance indicators. I do the exact same thing with my team now. I make sure that they know, what am I expecting of them? And then I let them have a say. Is this reasonable? Do you feel like there's something else you want to add? So a lot of the skills we learn in corporate are totally, totally transferable.
Yeah. And I just think that's important for, really making sure that our audience hears that, right? Because if you're sitting on the cusp of, do I stay? Do I go? Those are some great things for you to look at. What skills are transferable? Because oftentimes, and I've been talking to a lot of clients about this lately, we forget to log our achievements, right? Or as my friend Peggy Klaus always says, create your brag bites, right? Or your brag bag.
Oh,
like,
yes.
What is it in that brag bag that you can, reinforce yourself with, or look at, here's the things I've accomplished. So when you were looking at, making this change, what were some of the values, your own personal values, that you really tapped into to help you make this shift?
Yeah, I think it was just really taking log of what is important to me, and why I was doing this. And for me, it was all about truly and honestly bringing people confidence. I know sometimes beauty sounds, or people can think it's shallow. And for me, it was never shallow. It is so important for me personally. And I feel like for a lot of people, because when you feel good, you do good, you do better. You're really able to shine as your full self. And when you don't feel good, sometimes just the easiest things become really difficult. So for me, it was finding kind of that, that true connection, which for me was all about helping people feel better and do better. And we do that for our clients, and I do that for my staff too. I really do believe that they all have such special skills, and they're all so different. And so we started, something at the clinic where we coach and shadow each other. So I always say, let's look for your shadow. So something you're really good at, someone else is not so good at. But something you're not really great at, they're really good at. And it's usually that, because we always talk about our greatest strength is also sometimes our greatest weakness, because there's two sides to everything. If you're, a go-getter, for example, I'm very action oriented. So the fallback of that is I'm always, like I said, going fast. I have a pace that a lot of people can't keep up with. So it's a big strength, but there's downfalls to that. So how do I find someone who, is a little bit more thoughtful and who goes a little slower, and how do they help me balance out? So, it's kind of a little mentorship thing that we've created on the team, but it's really helpful, because sometimes you can be caught on, your weaknesses, and honestly, it's weaknesses and strengths are almost a mirror of each other, and you have to recognize what you're good at and fuel that without losing sight of, where your downfalls are, and finding that in your team, because, surrounding yourself with people that are not like you is always the best thing, because they complement you and you work together as a team really well.
Oh, I love that. And so true. Oh my gosh, so true. And it's so interesting, because oftentimes you'll see leaders, they want to stack their team with people just like them so that they hear yes all the time. Yeah. And that is disaster waiting to happen.
Oh, yeah.
Beautiful. I love it. So what's been the biggest highlight so far since you've taken, you've bought this franchise with Laser Clinics? What's the highlight, but also from a support standpoint, what have you seen that has supported you in this adventure so far?
Yeah, so I'll start with the support and then I'll go to the highlight because the highlight's a little mushy. So I'm going to leave you on a mushy note. But the support has been fantastic. So the thing that I also looked for when selecting where I was going to go and what I was going to buy was truly the expertise. And that's what Laser Clinics has. I was very aware that, hey, I love beauty, I love passion, I love people, but I've never run a small business. So while I was very comfortable with marketing plans and P&Ls, I wasn't so comfortable with cash flow, money coming in, money going out on the same month. Like these things are new. And so because they have over 200 clinics worldwide, the support system that you get is unequivocal. Like whenever I have a question or whenever I feel stuck, there's always someone to go to. And if it's not on the Canadian team, which usually it is because we have a great team here, they'll find me someone in the UK or someone in Australia who's been through what I'm going through, who can help me and coach me and mentor me. So that was a big thing for me, making sure where you decide to go fits what you're looking for. And if you're clear that, hey, I've never run a small business and I need help, then look for something that has that structure that can help and guide you through that. That's really, really what I love and appreciate from Laser Clinics. And then if I tell you my highlight, honestly, my highlight has been to see how proud of me my children are because, it was
I love it.
like you should have seen it. So when we had our big opening at the clinic, so cutting the ribbon and officially handing it over to me, my kids were there, obviously, and my husband. And my boy, who's now 7, he just looks at me. We were taking a picture and doing some videos, and then I invited them to come in, and he looks at me and he goes, Mom, like he was mind blown.
Oh, that's so adorable.
It's so cute, to actually, because, when you think of moving from corporate to a small business, sometimes it could feel like, hey, am I doing the right thing? Like going from such a big organization to something so small, but seeing how your kids really, they don't see that I work for Pepsi or L'Oreal. They see that, wow, mom's doing something different and look how happy mom is. And they're so proud, so that's really been kind of the highlight.
Oh, that is such a great moment. Yeah. Oh, I love it. I love it. And you know what? They'll remember that forever. And as they grow up, it will inspire them to, take the chance, right? Not being afraid to go and do something that's a little bit scary, but that it's okay. It all works out. Oh, I love it.
And my daughter, before when I used to ask her, what do you want to be when you grow up? She'd always say like a ballerina or, something, like a dancer or, one time she said a teacher. And, just the other day I asked her, I'm like, well, Belle, what do you want to be when you grow up? And she's 5 now. And so she's like, Mom, I want to be a boss like you. And I was like,
love it. Oh my God, that's so cute. That's fantastic. So you're setting a great example from an early age. Yeah. Well, Susie, this has been terrific. But just before we wrap up here, any tips, advice that you want to share, with the audience with respect to how to find that passion? Or you've covered a lot today, but just any last parting comments before we wrap?
Yeah, I think just honestly, my advice to all women is just take the time to put yourself first. I know that honestly, it didn't come naturally to me. And I know, speaking to my friends and my network, it doesn't come naturally to most women because we're very caring and we always put everyone ahead of us, like our children and, work. And I think just for a little bit, not forever and not for always, but just always remember to check in on you. When your cup is full, you're just better with everyone. And so check in on you. And do the exercises, do the exercises of what makes me happy. What am I passionate about? What are things that I'm really good at that come innate to me, and how can I, press fast forward on those things and not worry so much about what you're not good at, but leveraging your strengths to win, and just checking in with yourself always. Like, am I happy? Because we deserve to be happy, and when we're happy, everyone else is happy too.
That's right. That is so true, and great advice. I love what you just shared there. So important. And actually our newsletter for April that just launched on the weekend, that was one of the things that I talked about was self-care and putting yourself first, because we don't, as women, we're always the ones nurturing and taking care of everybody else. So thank you for echoing that, and it certainly has paid off for you. Yeah. So that's great. And you have a supportive family that, is also rallying around. So well done.
Of course. And obviously, I wouldn't be me if I didn't say, come visit us at Square One.
Of course.
We do fantastic skin treatments. We do laser hair removal. And if you need a little pick-me-up, it's the perfect time. It's spring. And so please come visit us at Square One or log in online. We have 7 clinics around the GTA, and we're happy to give you a little bit of confidence. Everybody's journey is different. And so please stop by, and we'd be happy to give you a free consultation.
Awesome. And I just want to reiterate, there's 200 locations around the globe, right? We're listened to in about 49 countries. So, but if you're local to the Toronto area, go and see Susie.
Yes, come and see me. And if not, UK, Australia, we're available there too.
Awesome. Well, Susie, this has been such a pleasure. Thank you for, bringing your infectious energy this morning, or today, I should say, because it could be night somewhere else. But really, really enjoyed having you here and sharing your story. I love how you've made this transition from corporate to really living your passion every day with people, purpose, beauty, just so fantastic. So thank you so much for being here.
And thank you, Vicki. Thank you so much for what you do. I know your podcasts are fantastic and they help a lot of women. So if you ever need me back, I'm welcome to come. And thank you for everyone for listening. And I hope I've been able to inspire some of you today to just listen to you and honestly focus on you. You deserve it.
Well, I think you have inspired for sure. We'd love to have you back again. So thank you for that. And I want to take a moment and thank our audience for being here. Again, I know you have a choice as to what podcast you listen to, and I hope that you've taken something from this conversation today that you'll be able to implement in your own career, own life, and share it with a friend, right? If you've got somebody who's sitting in that stuck spot and they're trying to figure out what's next, what would really help me live my purpose, share this episode about Susie and her journey, because this is super inspiring of how you make a change, and it's really the right thing for you. And don't forget to visit laser clinics wherever you're located in the world. But also, if you're interested in figuring out or learning more about your own leadership, go to our website at wilempowered, 1L, and take our free leadership quiz. That'll give you some insight as to how you're showing up as a leader. And that might also help you, get to know you at a more core level. So thank you everyone for being here today, and we look forward to seeing you on the next We'll Talk podcast. Take care, everyone.